Storybeans presents The Tale of Trotter and Snout. In the heart of Sunnybrook Farm, where the sun painted golden paths on the grass and the air always smelled like hay and apple pie, lived two young piglets named Trotter and Snout. They were brothers, full of energy, full of ideas, and full of words. Every morning, Trotter and Snout would trot around the farmyard with their curly tails bouncing and their snouts held high. "I'm going to help Mrs. Hen collect her eggs today," Trotter would say proudly. "And I'm going to fix the hole in Duck's pond," Snout would chime in. The other animals would nod and smile. "How thoughtful," said Mrs. Hen. "Such helpful little piglets," muttered Duck with a happy quack. But as the sun climbed higher and the chores waited, Trotter and Snout would get distracted. First, they would chase butterflies near the barn. Then, they'd roll around in their favourite mud puddle. By midday, they'd lie under the shady apple tree, bellies full of apples they hadn't picked. Meanwhile, the chores remained undone. The eggs lay scattered in the hay. The hole in the pond leaked more than ever, and the animals began to whisper. "They mean well," clucked Mrs. Hen, "but they never actually do what they say." Now, there was another animal who lived on Sunnybrook Farm, an old grey donkey named Amos. Amos never said much. His back was slightly crooked and his hooves were chipped, but his eyes twinkled with quiet kindness. Without announcing anything, Amos would carry pails of water for the ducks. He would nudge fallen apples toward the lambs. He even helped Mrs. Hen herd her chicks with gentle, guiding hooves. "Thank you, Amos," the animals would say. But Amos just gave a slow, wise nod and carried on. Trotter and Snout noticed this. "Why doesn't Amos ever talk?" Snout asked one afternoon. "Maybe he's just boring," said Trotter. "I mean, he never says he's going to help anyone." "But he does help everyone," Snout added, a bit quieter. Trotter snorted. "Still, I bet we're way more popular." They weren't. Over the next week, the animals started avoiding the piglets' promises. "Can you help carry these carrots?" Rabbit asked, looking at Amos. "I need help with the straw bales," Goat asked, again at Amos. Amos never said yes. He simply did. One cloudy morning, Farmer Brenda came into the yard with a trailer hitched to her truck. "I'm taking Amos to the vet in the next town," she said. "His legs need a checkup, and he'll stay a few nights there to rest." The animals all gathered to say goodbye. Amos, as usual, didn't say much, just a soft bray and a nod before climbing into the trailer. The farm felt suddenly quiet and a bit heavier. But Trotter and Snout saw an opportunity. "We'll take over Amos's chores," Trotter declared. "We'll be the new helpers of Sunnybrook Farm," Snout added. The animals looked at one another, unsure. Still, Mrs. Hen gave them a hopeful smile. "Well, the chicks do need watching this afternoon." "And I could use help with the pond again," said Duck. "We've got this," said the piglets in unison. But they didn't. The piglets watched the chicks for 5 minutes before running off to chase a dragonfly. The chicks ended up scattered across the cabbage patch. The hole in the pond never got fixed because Snout took a nap in the wheelbarrow. Soon the animals stopped asking for help altogether. "They just say they'll help," grumbled Duck, shaking his tail feathers. "I've had enough empty promises," said Goat. the piglets were left alone in the farmyard, confused and sad. "Why don't they want to be our friends anymore?" asked Snout one evening. Trotter kicked at a clump of grass. "We said we'd help. Isn't that enough?" But Snout remembered Amos, silent, steady, always doing things without ever needing to say a word. He looked up at the barn. The roof had a few shingles loose. He nudged Trotter. Maybe we need to do, not just say." Trotter frowned. "You mean like actually work?" "Yeah." So the next morning they woke up early. No speeches, no promises, just work. They gathered the eggs for Mrs. Hen. They patched up the pond hole with fresh clay. They helped sheep untangle her wool from the fence post. They even carried hay for the horses, one wobbly bundle at a time. At first, the animals just watched. But slowly, the whispers turned to nods, and the nods turned to smiles. By the third day, Duck waddled over. "Thanks for the pond," he said quietly. Mrs. Hen offered them a warm muffin from the farmhouse windowsill. "I've never seen such tidy eggs," she said. The piglets beamed. But they still missed Amos. Finally, one morning, the sound of tires crunching gravel echoed down the lane. The animals ran to the fence. The trailer door creaked open and out stepped Amos, looking a little stronger, but just as silent. Trotter and Snout ran to him. "We missed you, Amos," said Trotter. "We've been trying to be like you," added Snout. Amos blinked slowly, then gave each piglet a gentle nudge with his muzzle. They spent the whole day together, fixing, feeding, fetching. That night, under the stars, Snout looked at Amos. "You never told us to help others. You just did." Amos gave a small smile. Trotter nodded. "We finally get it. Words are easy. It's actions that matter." From that day on, Trotter and Snout kept their promises. But more importantly, they showed kindness without needing to say a thing. They became true helpers of Sunnybrook Farm, working side by side with Amos and learning that the quietest hearts can sometimes teach the loudest lessons. And as the fireflies blinked and the barn owls hooted, the farmyard slept peacefully, knowing that real kindness doesn't need a speech, it just needs a helping hoof or snout. Thank you for watching Story Beans. See you next time.